It is 3:05 Thursday, March 14th. I'd like to call this meeting of the Grand County Travel and Tourism Board to order. Present is myself, Ravonda Williams, Barry Levy, Harold Rogers, and Darlene Waycaster. Oh, and John Powell.
Howdy.
Right. First up on the agenda is John sitting here.
There. Sorry.
No.
I was like, I should drink it Tuesday.
Oh,
John's
My
tired too. He does
My
too.
19-year-old drinks it.
Now, first off, I'm going to read the agenda. First will be the call to order, which is what we just did. Second will be review and approve the minutes, the financial report, old business, new business, other business as the board deems necessary, public comment, and then we will adjourn. I have a motion to approve this agenda as written. All in favor? Now let's done the call to order. Let's go on to review and approve the minutes.
Would you want to see if there's a reason why they keep it here? 7,600. Yes, ma'am. Grand County Travel and Tourism, Tuesday, February 12th, 2013. These are the minutes as written. The Grand County Travel and Tourism Authority Board met Tuesday, February 12th, 2013 at 3 p.m. at the EMS Facility Conference Room located at 70 West Fort Hill, Robbinsville, North Carolina, 28771. Board members present were Connie Orr, Billy Ditmore, Barry Levy, John Powell, and Harold Rogers. Call to order by Chairman Connie Orr at 3 o'clock. Minutes for January 8th were read and will need to be revised into 2 sets of minutes, an open session and a closed session. Connie will get with Tabitha about the changes to the minutes. Connie introduced and welcomed our new board member, Ravonda Williams. Rebecca Garland gave the financial report. She is projecting we will stay within budget. She continues to work on our telephone bill and travel and tourism credit card. Ron and Nancy Johnson informed Rebecca there is an enforcement option on the table for non-compliant taxpayers. They informed her you can request a website hosting company to take a website down simply by the rules in place by most hosting sites. Basically, that you must abide by the laws, and if Company A is promoting a rental cabin, they must collect occupancy tax. Discussion on the steps we currently take to inform individual businesses about not being compliant and what we can now add to the letter of notice ensued. Connie expressed the board had not voted to accept the current rules and procedures for the Travel and Tourism Board. Harold Rogers made a motion to approve and John Powell second, unanimous. The board members discussed the new Travel and Tourism building. Ravonda will be our chairperson for a new committee on coming up with plans for a new visitor center. Tabitha, Billy, Andy, and John will be on that committee with Ravonda.
Is Barry not on that? You're on that too.
You can only have 4 members, or otherwise you would have to
Yeah, well,
hold an
me,
actual meeting.
John, Barry, and Ravonda, that's 4.
I just wrote what she said
Yeah.
at the meeting.
Because you and Andy aren't members. But yeah, Barry's on that too.
She excluded him in the minute meetings, if you want to listen to it later. A focal point or piece of artwork will need to be a prominent part of the design, encouraging folks to stop at the center. Tabitha showed off the boat show map, Ron Johnson design. She will be passing out at the boat and women's shows. There is now signage on the bypass pointing to the visitor center. Guests registering at the center have listed it as to how they have found us. Anthony Brown's Cable Ski Park could be a multi-season use facility. Andy Cable is still working with him on this project. as it is in its beginning stages. Snow tubing was also mentioned, with Jeannie Stewart gave an update to the viability of this activity. Tabitha expressed an interest in going to the governor's conference because the staff from the Commerce Department thinks the networking opportunity would be invaluable. Connie made a motion for Tabitha to go to the conference, and John Powell second, unanimous. Tabitha brought to the board's attention that she will be traveling every weekend for the next month, and a way to save money is to rent the car monthly instead of weekly. It would save the board nearly $700. Connie thought that was a good savings. John Powell made a motion to rent by the month. Harold Rogers second, unanimous. Tabitha brought to the board's attention the need to reprint the Graham County Visitor Center brochure because we were almost out and the welcome centers from around North Carolina were asking for them. The board was open to switching up the format, and Ron Johnson and Tabitha will work together on a new updated format for the board to vote on within the next month or two. The board wanted to go forward with the back page of the I Love Graham County back page advertisement. They wanted a picture collage format with simple copy. Ron Johnson will work up the design. Tabitha shared the accommodations brochure and what a huge success it's been and how it's been perceived. Lots of folks feel it is a value and that it will shorten the time it takes to get a vacation in Robbinsville. Tabitha shared the co-op piece for the Smoky Mountain Living magazine. The advertisement will be in the April issue. Tabitha shared with the board there would be lots of advertising opportunities like this in the future. Nancy Johnson explained that with the website, we are creating a database so that we can communicate with our accommodation partners via emailed newsletters to keep them abreast of happenings and the benefits of working with Travel and Tourism Office and the website. Street dances were discussed, $6,500 for all, $542 per dance. The board wants Tabitha to check with other entities to see if they can help before they decide. Lisa Russo added it needed to be advertised better. The board agrees. Delayed harvest map, coordinate with recreation. Tail of the Dragon, email from Andy about maps. Also, discussion needs to take place with Cherokee about their programs and tournaments. Tabitha pulled up the website for the board to view, and Nancy explained the features of the events calendar. The Pinterest page for Travel and Tourism has been established. Tabitha asked Greg McCoy from Sports Bike for Hire to give feedback about the Cleveland Motorcycle Show. Greg said, "We had great booth placement and everyone wants to come as part of their bucket list or come back again." Tabitha shared some of her takes on the Charlotte Boat Show. Charlotte is an untapped market because they think the mountains are Boone, Asheville, or the Highlands Cashiers area. Tabitha explained those are city mountains and they need to come another couple hours to get to the real mountains. Barry asked Connie about the county commissioner's decision on raising the occupancy or restaurant sales tax. Connie said they decided it, but it would need to be, they discussed it, but it would need to be in a written submission from the Travel and Tourism Board in order for them to take action. Some of the Travel and Tourism members wanted to do some research prior to voting. Andy Cable recommended Travel and Tourism research the concept of a long-term master plan. It has different legs, such as heritage, recreation, etc. Having a plan in place will allow us to apply for grants and be more successful in our efforts. Lisa Russo had approached Connie about videotaping the board meetings. Connie shared with Travel and Tourism that Lisa is videotaping the Board of Commissioners meeting, and it has helped tremendously since they are misquoted so much. Lisa shared it could be good publicity so folks in town can see the good that Travel and Tourism is doing for the community. Connie Orr made a motion to allow Lisa Russo to tape the meetings. John Powell second, unanimous. Motion to adjourn at 4:40. Any changes to the minutes?
Yeah, I'd like to put this on hold till we can get with Connie about Barry's position on the building fund. Barry's a good asset on all this, and like I said, I think it may just be confusion because technically, totally, you and you're not actual members, so I don't see where there'd be any problem with that. So, Okay, wait, did you get in touch with Becky? No, I'm just looking right at her.
Yay.
Okay, let's move on to the financial report with Becky Conlon. So, Becky, the floor is yours.
Okay. Got two reports. One report will go straight to the board members. Of course, that's just the log report for collections for occupancy by taxpayer. Oh, I knew, I just got way late in the parking lot.
I'm sorry.
That happens, doesn't it?
Yes. Let's see, I need to scoot something. Sorry.
Like,
Oh, no,
Okay, then I have the public record reports. These are the finance reports for through the end of February and pulled forward through today.
Thank you, Dave.
And of course, these are public record. I made some extra copies too, Tyler, for you just to keep at the T&T
Okay.
office. And it would probably be a good idea at some point if we can get with Ron and Nancy that I could post these on a monthly basis on your website. That would be helpful too, I think. What we're trying to do with the county, we're not quite there, but we're getting there. But anyway, your top sheet is the cash in bank through February 28 of 13. Total cash reconciled was $67,979. We had $41.91 to deposit. We've got to pay the February salaries out of the Graham County General Fund, and we have about $3,038 in bills to pay. So that'll bring your cash balance as of today to $65,614.41. We're quite a bit ahead of this time last year, as I've reported in past months. Part of that is that we've spent much less. We actually spent about $42,000 less this year than we did last year, so that's providing you some reserve there. And as you can hear, you're talking about buildings and things like that. It would probably be a good idea as you get further into your building, whatever that process, to begin absolutely when you do your budget this coming year to build in some type of a reserve or something. And as I'm hearing more and more about making some changes in the occupancy tax or even doing the food tax that Mr. Levy has proposed to the Board of Commissioners, then we'll want to start thinking more strategically with our cash balance and that's a good thing. And I think your T&T board's coming a long way. You're making some good long-range plans, and that's a really good step to be making, that we can actually start talking about putting some money in reserve for long-term planning. Your taxes collected fiscal year to date through the end of February is $90,914.74. We're about $1,094 ahead of this time last year. We did have one taxpayer who has has made quite a bit of payment in some back taxes that are helping your fund balance. We kind of got a payment plan set up, and that seems to be working well for both sides. If you want to flip to about the third page back, that's your budget, actually your fourth page back, that's your budget to actual. As I said, your total collections are about $91,000. You've spent about $82,000, so you're operating in a surplus at this point of about $8,700. Now, I do want to mention that Tabitha had a couple of big shows, and she's working on pulling all of her expenses together, so there will be some more bills to pay there. But so far, you are operating in a surplus, and you're running well within budget. So it looks to me like, unless you guys just go on a huge, doing a lot of promotions all at once to the end of the year, that when you start into your budget process, you're going to have some reserve to carry forward, which is always a good thing. Last year it was pretty tight, and there was not much reserve left to pull into the next fiscal year, but that's a good thing that you're going to have. Y'all seem to be managing your expenditures on these shows very well. you know, Tabitha watches every dime. I want to state that. She seems to really try to, you know, to minimize the cost as much as possible, and I think it's, you know, she's very cognizant, I feel like, of where we're trying to head and what we're trying to do. So I am very thankful for that as we get those receipts in, and they're always so orderly too. It's just a really good thing. That's about all I have. As I said, I'm pleased with the direction that y'all are taking with your finances. I'm always available if you have questions or anything. I would, as I stated, I would like to see us start posting your, if it's pleasing to the board, start posting your finance reports. Because as you guys do move into more of a building mode and things, you know, the public is going to be very interested in what you're doing and how you're going to do it.
That'll save you some time too. People call and want to know
Right,
stuff. So
right. And it's just a good thing from a transparency perspective. You know, the more transparent we can be as an authority and as a government in general, the better it is for the taxpayers to know and understand the direction, the strategic direction the board's getting ready to take. I was very excited to hear about the strategic planning that Andy is proposing. I think that'll be a really good move for the board to take. Any questions on anything?
You have those extra copies that you want?
Yes, I do. We are shorthanded in the county manager's office this afternoon, so there's just two of us there. So if it's okay with the board,
You
I'll
want to have any
go back
questions
and
for Becky?
wear another hat for a little while.
Thank you so much, Becky.
All right, well, we appreciate it, and you guys have a great day.
Becky, I will hopefully get at least the January set of minutes signed.
Okay, yes.
And then be able to get that up to you.
Yes, I
Okay.
appreciate it. Okay, y'all have a great day.
Okay, let's see. Do we have any news under the old business? Going, well, we're sort of, we had to postpone our build meeting because of bad weather. So we probably don't really have any more news on the visitor center at this time, or not enough to.
Only that the property that we thought we were going to be able to use has pretty much proven problematic.
Unbuildable.
Yeah. So,
It's,
Also, I talked to Dave a little about it, the inspector,
yeah.
can't do a second floor.
No, it
not
doesn't.
without an
elevator.
elevator.
And it looks like we wouldn't have enough room to build, period, now, so,
Are you talking about the property next to United Community?
yeah.
Mhm.
Not the little sliver that was the old railroad track,
Right.
but the actual property next to.
Well, the part where it's gonna be on the sliver and the whole thing, I
That's-
believe it's, yeah, it looks to be unbuildable.
Right. I talked with Pam Schaefer at UCB, and they'd be willing to let us use that property, but they don't want to sell it. And the reason they don't want to sell it was due to the fact they didn't want to have somebody selling that building at some future date and then it not being,
Yeah.
you know, a neighbor that they would like to
Yeah,
have next
like
door to
that.
them. But I think that's a great location. We ought to try and work something out with them.
We'll see, we'll have to see, it's looking like it may be, the UCB, is it looking like floodplain too?
Why is it unbuildable?
It's
The
looking like
sewer
much of
lines.
sewer and floodplain and stuff like that. It's looking, you know, just from what David told me, and I've not got back with him, Ron might talk to him more, you know, on that. I don't
Actually,
know.
he sent his, and is this what he sent to Greg, I guess, this assessment?
It was on my desk when I got to work, so I don't know
Yeah.
how it appeared there.
Yeah.
I talked with Dave at length. The part that you wanted to develop, which was a little bit confusing because it's evidently over there near the ice cream shop.
Yeah.
That's in the old railroad right away.
Mhm.
There's a lot of utilities there and
Maybe
sewer.
some foot of flood.
Right,
something like that.
but the UCB part is completely good.
So he
With the exception of
said,
the very back part of it.
David said the UCB part was good.
And he highly recommended that really for a location.
And then just real quick while we're on it, I just wanted everybody to remember that picture that was built of that property behind the rock facade up in town. That was a sketch done by the master planning and NC Step. They were in here doing a lot of different stuff for us, so, you know, it is another option as we
There's another
go forward.
possible
But I talked to Dave about that also. We actually walked it. He said it'd be real expensive to build on that hillside.
It's
Real
easy to draw things, and
Yeah.
stuff like
To
that.
do a
but,
drawing like
you know,
that.
Real life is
You know,
different
it's cheap,
sometimes.
but to actually build it, you're talking some serious money.
And again, with the fire tower, as neat as that looks and as much as that
Yeah.
would brighten up that whole area, anything that's open to the public has to be accessible to all the public,
Yeah.
so.
That has an
accessible-
it has an
have
elevator in it.
It does have an
Yeah,
elevator?
that's the elevator.
That expense.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I
That'd be an
can imagine
expensive
how
piece
much
of
the
property.
elevators were.
Oh, yeah.
There's a
The
lot.
property's free,
Then you
but the
have to do
building
a whole lot of
would be
elevator
expensive.
maintenance.
Once
you
a year,
know.
they have to be inspected. We put in a one-story elevator at the Chillow Ranger Station when we built that in '06, and that one elevator was $56,000, and it goes up one floor.
I'm sure.
We generally have to have somebody from Asheville Elevator come out like once a month. It's a service plan they make you buy and stuff, and like, it can be very expensive.
It looks
But
good on paper.
me on
Yeah,
the
it looks good on
positive,
paper.
what I do want to kind of impress on everybody is this is a destination. This is a reason to come to Robbinsville. Just to have a cookie cutter hole in the wall to get some brochures is not a reason to come to Robbinsville.
No, nobody
But
suggested
this can
that,
definitely, be made a showcase piece. And it can also help bridge the gap between, because eventually when the bypass is full, we're gonna have to start working in Old Town. And this would be a nice bridge piece from, downtown to Old Town.
So the plan there was to access that from. like,
Ford Street,
right
actually.
From Ford Street.
Mhm. Yeah,
Who owns the property where the parking would be?
don't know.
Okay, so that's important information too.
What David and I were talking about that. For one thing, in that drawing, you're gonna have to stabilize that rock wall
Oh, yeah.
face somehow.
Yeah,
And it can be done. You can go in there and beam that and pour a slab
okay.
and build up from there. He even suggested, instead of doing the fire tower, is to put a nice deck out there, and that way,
And that might be a
You-
beginning way of getting it started, with this being the eventual plan, if we
Yeah.
wanted to add on, say, 5 or 8 years from then. But a way to get started.
yeah.
That plan is just a conceptual plan,
Yeah.
of ideas that can be
Well,
generated.
it's definitely a
So
starting point.
It's definitely an attractive
The
idea.
one thing that I would have a problem with that is the parking and
Yeah.
there's some people that
Location,
are, like an
too.
RV, they could park at Ingles and walk over to the one next to UCB.
Yeah,
They couldn't,
they can't do
they
that.
couldn't do that. They wouldn't.
And
But I
like I
think
said,
what they're saying too, based off what was left on my desk, UCV's not really an option now.
Well, if you're
when did
talking
you talk to
long-term lease,
Pam?
last week, that's right.
Last week.
But
And
we
we
would
just need to
still-
get more information on that, cause if she was for it last week, but you said you had something on your desk that said they
Yeah,
weren't
she has it right
for
there.
it.
Oh, no, this
When
is,
was
No,
that?
this is the
that's the
slither.
slither, that's not UC.
Would we have to go into that and put a structure up that worst case scenario would have to be moved?
They didn't say that,
No.
as long as you,
They
we
just
didn't
don't
really
want
get
us
that
to
deep into
sell
it.
it.
Right, they wanted to have, I guess, first right of refusal or
First
buy
right.
or whatever, but
Mhm.
I'm not in favor of modular. If you can build something
No.
permanent and have a long-term agreement, because I don't think they're ever gonna do anything with it, is what
No.
Pam indicated. They just don't wanna have somebody sell it and
Yeah.
then, have
We could
a bunch
do,
of hillbillies like live in Graham County kind of stay there.
we could do something like, there are a lot of places, it's not real unusual for banks or certain businesses either, not wanting bad neighbors type thing.
Right,
And we might do like a 30-year lease.
there you go.
Something of that nature, just say it will not, you don't have to worry about us ever trying to sell it. And if we do, they get first right of refusal
Right.
and.
What,
um,
would that affect our ability to get grants and funding if we were just trying to build on leased property?
If you've got a long-term
No.
lease, usually no.
It shouldn't
Be
be.
fine.
Yeah.
But if we could avoid the expense of the land up front, you can put that into the building.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
And improvements around the building to make it look nice, so
Yeah.
there's a lot of win-win to that.
And it's right on the bypass.
Location-wise, it's perfect. So I would exhaust every possibility of working with UCB for that piece of property.
We'll get
Parking's
on
there
that then.
immediately.
We'll talk to them because we just don't have enough information yet. We can talk to them about it. You said, David said that we could build on that.
He said, it's a go all the way except for the last, 20 or 30 feet of it where it could be in the floodplain.
Right next to the creek.
Yeah.
What if we get the county attorney, who would, to draw up some kind of a lease and then present that to the powers that be at the bank?
Let's talk to Pam and them first, and let them get a chance and see exactly the dimensions on that, and yeah, that they're still on board.
So
We
will
need the
that,
actual size of it, we need,
of the lot?
yeah.
I kind of walked it,
Size.
and I didn't see where a 50 by 25 building, which I think you and I talked about, or you
Mm.
kind of mentioned a 25. I think 50 is good. I even drew a little sketch that you can take a look at and see. It's just something really,
We
really
can go back
simple.
to the plan that Andy had, is that what that is?
No, this
Oh,
is-
this is something you saw.
It's just-
And right there, David said, based on the size, that we could probably buy with only one bathroom.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
And that would
that'd
Yeah,
be
it's
a
like
thing.
the same thing, we make a unisex bathroom.
If we could do that, and that's, I had drawn a plan that basically would allow an upstairs, not access to the public, but, if you could use that as storage.
You can't do that either because of that elevator, because now in commercial building, you have to make it accessible to your employees and stuff like that, and what if one of those was the top thing, So any kind of commercial building more than one story now has to have an elevator.
Well,
And I think we could do, we could find a storage or keep using it sort of like we were. This is big enough where we can have a lot of storage on site, like,
Right, if we
You
can
could.
get by
Lock the
with,
doors,
if we
yeah.
can get by with one bathroom, make one of
Yep.
those. a
There you
storage.
go.
shelf that up and.
There's
have it
plenty of room
stacked.
there in a
Yeah.
20 by 50.
Yeah.
Also, I
Absolutely.
wanna check with, welcome centers to be sure that you don't have to have a male-female bathroom, because they did mention the reason why we couldn't get the signage that I wanted is because we didn't have public bathroom. And so they were able to put the signs out that they got, but that's not,
It's used,
The best
but David
size
said,
that
he's
you
a
can
building inspector, he said we could, so,
He said we could get by with it.
yeah.
and this has more to do with the welcome centers from the Department of Commerce on your signage and what they can do for you. So I wanna check that too real quick.
If so, he's got them drawn in, and it don't
Yeah.
have to take up that much space.
This is just, my idea. of
Yeah, it's a
something
preliminary brainstorming thing, we do a lot of that.
Keep it simple.
Yeah.
Just a shell, which would be easy to throw up, and then you can change it any way
Make
you
it a
want.
pretty log cabin, something,
Right.
something really attractive.
Log sided,
Yeah.
would be nice.
Mhm.
Ronnie, do you have a date for the next time we're gonna talk about this?
No, but I thought we could discuss our findings here and
We
go
can.
from there.
We can table this.
How about this, you check with Pound, make sure they're still on board, and,
And ask them what they would
about a
be.
30-year lease
Yeah,
possibly.
ask them something like, just throw that out and say, are you interested in maybe doing 30-year, is this feasible, or do you have other ideas? And then we can go back and forth from there.
Right.
If it says, no, we don't even wanna do 50 or something, or we don't wanna rent it for $1 a year, whatever helps them tax-wise the most.
Right.
And then we need to check on the size of the lot, or do you know what that is?
I didn't,
I don't know if
I
any
walked
of these,
it, and it's
I
pretty,
don't think it shows.
I don't think it shows boundary lines.
pretty good size.
Would we need to get that done? That may be
I
something.
think he went in there
He
to
went
get
in.
JR to print it off for you.
Okay.
Oh, that's good, yeah.
Because that more than likely, that's not separated from their property, it's probably all one piece, I'd say.
Right. But again, I walked, there's probably at least 75 to 100 across.
This wasn't, since this isn't buildable, we could use extra parking or whatever it is.
Well, I don't know if you can because of the utilities on
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Dave said you could put picnic tables or
Okay.
landscape.
Or we talk about some kind of a,
Non-permanent.
no, a steel or a dragon or
Yeah,
something,
there you
some
go.
kind of a landmark.
And we can make it where we move, just like landscaping, I mean, if they ever need to dig through our landscaping, they could.
There you go.
That's yours.
Thank you.
This is property, and it was 25 feet.
Well, I didn't realize this property came all the way up.
Yeah, see, this is the sliver that Kenny was talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
And apparently there's another sewer line
We'll have to look at that over here, so yes, how far did you say we'd have to come back 30 feet? So 30 feet, that's not that much, we can still, what's the distance from here to here, it don't say this.
Scale is 1 inch thick is 25
Would
feet.
y'all be okay with getting David to look at this too? I feel like he's got a knowledge of the building, first of all,
Right.
and he knows where this stuff is, let him evaluate? Because he said, and he told both of us, that this is a much more desirable lot than this little
Right.
slither here.
Yeah, he said that thing wasn't even buildable, so.
Here,
Yeah.
right. They may allow you to encroach if you had like a gravel drive or something over there, just to.
Yeah,
they
that's
could
what I was
dig
saying
out.
about extra parking, if you could put gravel on it.
Yeah, that's owned by the county, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, you could use that part of parking.
yeah.
Maybe even let the employees park there.
Yeah,
Right.
And
that's
visitors
good.
park there.
Yeah.
We're putting you in the gravel town.
I got a gravel driveway home, no problem.
But I would be in favor of, that's such a perfect
All the
location.
vehicles go, it's got oil leaks.
It's convenient to everything that is gonna be developed on the bypass, north and south.
The Lord said it don't leak.
And
And they told us before we'd use that parking lot.
That parking.
No,
this one here,
Yeah,
Right.
so.
But look
It's
at
already
that, on
getting
any
paid.
given day, is this the number of employees they have?
They can park other places too.
You still
know.
think we'll have enough parking?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
when I was over there the other day, there was.
Big things in park right there.
You can have 25 at a time, you know.
Yeah, well, how old do we buy it? Yeah, I thought that would be enough.
Now, that doesn't look like it's, you said, how many feet?
1 inch equals 25 feet,
Oh, really?
yes. So if you scale it,
All right.
everybody's got a ruler.
I don't have a ruler, but it looks like it's 150 feet across there. It's 1 inch equals 25?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's big.
Yeah, it's bigger than I thought that was actually.
Wow.
Well, we used to keep a ruler in
There you go, she got a
Terry
tape
might
measure.
have one. Hey, I'll look it out to you, measure here someone.
That one out the truck.
Well, my vision meter must be off, because it didn't look as big as that. Thank you.
there. We can go walk it shortly too.
Mhm.
That helps me to actually walk the side.
4 inches is 100.
Yep.
So that was pretty good.
Yeah.
It's got 100-foot frontage.
It's not 100-foot frontage, but it's, 100 foot where the building would be.
Overall.
Oh, okay.
So you're not,
You got
50-foot building.
25 feet on either side.
correct. So you could landscape and you could, it's not gonna just fill the whole lot unless you.
Right.
Now, let's get, we'll get with them and sort of get on this. We could cover a lot of this in our building meeting.
Mhm.
So you check with the bank, I'll check with David and get him to evaluate and make sure that we've not got sewer, because more than likely the sewer's up here in the front, because it was in the front of this one, so it comes through
And
there.
I'm not sure if it went from here, like across, because another point comes here, but I thought it ran real close to up here, but I think another one.
Oh, it goes
went-
that way?
I
Okay,
think the
good.
one may have been that way too. I
Okay.
think this one's sure close to the road. It's been a long time. Cause I had to cut across that road when it did the thing. I want to say we didn't go very far in the
Mhm.
drive.
Good.
So it may not have,
Encroach too far over.
no.
Okay, sounds good.
Anyway, we can go
And then possibly try to get together next week.
next week. sounds
That'd be
good.
fine.
We will have
Sure.
some more stuff on next week. and I
I'll
will
be
be
gone
around.
Friday.
No, you won't. You'll be
I
gone
think I'll
Friday.
be gone Friday.
Earlier in the week. What's a good day for you, Barry, that's coming away?
Hey, I'm on
Any day.
vacation every day,
How
so
about
it
Wednesday?
doesn't
Wednesday?
matter.
Would that be okay? All right.
Okay. We'll plan on that. Right down. you
This is
go
nothing
mine
more than an
next
oversized
week.
two-car
I had
garage.
to put that on you, I know you're covered up too.
Yeah, we've got an IDIQ property.
24 by 50.
50, about
Yeah.
1,200 square feet.
And then the only other thing really under old business, I was gone for most of this month and I wasn't able to get in touch with a lot of the folks that can help me with this, is the street dances. Again, that's about $6,500 for the full 12, about $540, somewhere around there, $520 for per dance. I've been talking,
I think we did.
I think we voted on that, yeah.
Thought we said we were only gonna allocate
we
that.
said we were tabling it until we could get with the other folks in the community to find out who was gonna pay it. So that's what
That was
I'm
for the
giving you
street dance,
comments back, yeah, to let you know I haven't been able to get in touch with everybody yet.
So you don't know what anybody else is doing?
Yeah.
I think it would be cool to let whoever does the dances, if there's a committee or a person or whatever.
We are the committee.
Oh, we are.
No, they just come and ask us for
Oh,
our
okay.
donation.
Yeah,
They
but
just
we've been
work
the
on
one
it.
to kind of spearhead it from the notes I'm finding.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think we just give them a donation.
Okay.
you know,
So
Right.
tell them just to go look elsewhere.
What if they ask?
For every $1,000 we give up, that's $33,000 in hotel revenue that we got to produce to give up $1,000. I just want everybody to
And
be
we
aware
decided
of
that that was mostly
That-
local people that
Yeah.
handle those things anyway.
Yeah.
But we
Not making
also
local
discussed
people.
that it had not been advertised properly to the
Right.
dancing
It's-
groups and the counties and places that could do a day trip.
We've done decided, I don't know, I'm pretty sure we
Yeah.
voted on it actually, that we wasn't gonna do that, so.
I think what we need to do is tell whoever is over that, whoever organizes it,
It's chaperones.
to tell Jack to approach different businesses in the county and ask them if they would sponsor one night.
Seek ulterior motives and funding.
And tell them it's $500 and some odd dollars.
That $6,500 would cost travel and tourism. We gotta generate over $200,000 in revenue just to pay that $6,500.
So.
And that's not coming from locals.
Okay, so you guys aren't wanting to do any of the dances now?
No, like I said, I'm pretty sure we voted on that, but, and then we told Jack we voted to ask, see if we could maybe be nice and find somebody else.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I think we discussed it in January.
Yeah,
I
this was
wasn't
at
here.
last meeting, I believe, were you at a conference?
And I was here when we discussed it in January. I believe it's in these notes, but we did say that we didn't want to put a lot of money into
No,
it.
I was talking about last meeting is when we did it. You
It
were-
wasn't in the notes for last meeting.
Street dances were discussed, $6,500 for all, $542 per dance. The board wants Tabitha to check with other entities to see if they can help before they decide. Lisa Russo added it needed to be advertised better, the board agrees.
I was talking about when we talked about not doing it
That was last meeting,
That was
you weren't here.
in January.
Okay, anyway. Yes, moving on, new business. How are the shows going? Just give us a quick update on that.
Great.
Tell us a little bit about them.
You've not been dancing again, have you?
No, I'm actually getting somewhat kind of tired as we got a little bit into the show season. The boat show, again, is probably one of the slowest shows. If we were looking to cut one and add another, that would probably be my recommendation of all the shows that we go to cut.
Which one was the slowest boat show?
The Charlotte one.
Charlotte one? Okay.
But there's again a lot of comments about, you know, oh, are you close to Asheville, just like I said in the notes, and them not even really knowing. It's kind of an untapped market in Charlotte. They really think of the mountains as Asheville, so it's a lot of education, a lot of FaceTime over there in order, because they were very delighted to hear there was a place without a lot of crowds, without a lot of traffic, that much outdoor activity, 4 lakes in a county. You know, it was kind of ooh and ah every time you were able to have that high interaction with somebody. So that was a nice takeaway from that show. And then another show we had, your staff was there, was the Charlotte Motorcycle Show. And our gut feeling was kind of, we might want to pass on this show, but I heard from Randy that the very next day when he got back from the Charlotte Motorcycle Show, he had 10 bookings.
We've got a lot of bookings out there.
And again,
That was for one day because it interfered with Daytona 500 day. That
Yeah.
was one day.
and it was a show that we thought, this show, because if you've been to like the Cleveland show, that's like the most high energy, awesome show in the world compared to the Charlotte show. But again, we're getting some feedback that a lot of people are getting some bookings. So we need to also be sure that with our accommodations partners in the newsletter that we put out, we're going to be sure that everybody's talking with their staff about asking at that front part of the, taking the reservation, how did you hear about us? Did you hear about us from a show? You know,
That's
getting
the best
some,
thing we do.
you know, we've got to get some of that feedback from people to be sure that the shows are paying off. Because there is lots of places to put our money, and we need that biggest high impact.
Going back to the Charlotte show, Fontana at the marina had 3 boats more for last year just from the show before.
Okay.
In Charlotte?
Mhm.
From Charlotte?
And it's a slower show than like Atlanta,
Yeah,
but just because it's slow doesn't mean,
right, but it's not high
It's not
impact.
high impact.
yeah.
Yeah,
We just did the Knoxville boat show this past week, and it was terrible.
Oh, I've
And you
never
would
been
think
to that
it
one.
wouldn't be, but it was really the worst show I've ever done in my life. Would never go back. And But the Charlotte one, even though it's not as busy, we've got more leads off of it than we did the Atlanta show.
Okay. And then the Spring Home and Garden Show. I've heard lots of history about this show, and it's a really awesome show. I don't think there's any show that we do that puts the advertising and marketing behind it that those folks put behind that show. It was 3 separate huge convention spaces with different themes inside each one of the rooms. We were in a corner near the bathroom and could be seen from the long back wall as well as when you first came in. So we positioned banners so that both walking points you could see. And again, we came to the conclusion about show number 2 that unless somebody walked by, stopped, kind of tilted their head and looked at the pictures that way, that best not to just hand things out. Only if somebody really kind of has that, they're giving you that indication that they're interested, because otherwise I'm wasting everybody's money. Yeah.
Because I sort of dislike when I'm trying to walk through a show and somebody's trying to hand me stuff that I'm not doing.
And the guy next to us was doing it, and people were just waving him off. And so that show, to me, I'm really hoping that we get some good success from that, because out of the last 4 shows, it felt the best. The people were really good in energy back, a lot of high second extended conversations. They wanted to hear more. They loved the pictures. Oh, you have this, and oh, you have that, and just really, and they took tons of brochures besides the packet that we passed out. We had some miscellaneous brochures setting out, because again, you don't want to put those in there if you're not interested in Whitewater. We don't need to waste them, so people could pick up what they wanted to, and they picked up a lot. So that was more that family show, action, activity kind of show. People wanting to do more stuff, and we had a lot of couples that traveled by themselves. They were looking for a quiet place to just come read their books, newspapers, and not do anything, throw their cell phones in the lake, they said, if they could. So that was really nice to be able to hand out those inns and bed and breakfast brochures that we had to those people. They were really interested. So I can't wait to start getting some feedback. I hope we get some feedback. But I'm learning that as the travel and tourism director, I probably need to talk to some of the hotels and even the restaurants about creating that experience when people are here. Don't inundate them when they first get there, but have that touch, at least one touch per interaction of, what have you done while you're here? And if they've not seen Joyce Kilmer, it's almost your go-to hand brochure of that point on contact. Even the young ladies that wait at the tables, hey, are you guys from here? Are you local? Of course, they can tell they're from out of here, but what have you been able to do while you're here? Oh, well, it's almost your go-to brochure, or do you have a map? Have you been able to get over there? Do you need a map? And to be able to bring them those things. So I'm hoping to kind of work with some of the businesses too, to be sure that they're just many joys when it comes to the hotels.
We discussed, last meeting about maybe putting another poll thing out, and all restaurants and businesses, what would you like to see here? Barry, we talked about that. What would you like to see here? Stuff like that. And maybe if their waitress did it, they may say, I just want to order my food. To ask them to, like, before I leave, a lot of places like, hey, would you mind filling this out? Make it awesome.
Teresa Garland had a really good survey once upon a time.
Yeah, we've had a few
for when people
running.
exited. So the shows were good. I'm just looking for some good feedback on did it do anything.
Let's see, let's move on. So I'm glad to hear the shows went good. They generally do. We've done shows forever, and that's one of our go-to things. We try a million different things. Some stuff works, some stuff's a great idea, some stuff don't work, some stuff sounds like a great idea, but the shows have been pretty consistently good.
Connie wanted me to bring this up at the meeting today. It's a request from Brad Hogsett. Said he filled 81 rooms last year for hunters. And he's asking for $1,600 for 2 shows. You can take all of Graham County brochures, brochure and everything along with it, and right here's a picture.
What's the name of this place?
That's why I told you.
Cherokee Whitetail Hunting Preserve. Here's-
Yeah,
He's also Hoxic.
Is it in Rock, is it in Graham County?
It's on
yeah,
A4.
we can't do anything that's not in Graham County.
I don't think so.
Oh, that,
He
that's
has,
state trooper.
he's brought in trophy buck,
You,
I
you pay,
guess.
you pay $3,000 or $4,000 to shoot one of them.
Yeah.
And he's got it set up on reservation land, isn't it?
It's on,
That's
it's on
Blue
band
Jackson's
land.
land.
Does it
Leach,
say what shows he's attending?
that doesn't give me any of that information.
You look at that one. Let's see, I've got actual picture.
So which-
He said he would represent Graham County as well as himself.
You have his contact information.
Is it on that? Yeah, yeah.
Okay. They also made, this is a picture, they also made the cover of Bow Hunting Magazine. That's how Graham County. So,
Brad does real good hunting our guests.
so,
Didn't we do this last time?
I don't think so.
I can't remember what you.
We talked
I
about
think we did. I
We
think
talked
we did
about it.
pay for it.
I don't mind. It's, you know, not a bad
Do the
thing.
math, Barry, how, if he
Yep.
filled 81 rooms,
So.
With $100 a night, it'd be $8,100
he's
revenue
wanting
brought
60,
in.
yeah.
And 3% of 8,100,
$2,400.
yeah, $240 is all we're gonna get.
Let's see. That was 81 that come and stayed just a hunt.
That's assuming they just stayed one night.
Yeah, just assuming they just stayed one night. And then a lot of people, I go to boat shows and don't buy boats, you know, but I still see places I'd like to visit and stuff like that. I like to go to different shows. A lot of people I know go to hunt shows, and oddly enough, I know a lot of places made money off a big truck show one time because, like, they were, the guys were all looking at trucks and stuff like that. It was like big rigs, and a lot of times wives and stuff were looking around looking for places to visit, you know, and stuff.
I've been to 2 or 3 of these hunting shows like this, and they usually have good attendance.
Yeah.
I went to one in Atlanta a couple of times.
I would like to call and find out which hunting shows he's going to and do some research on them.
Okay, you want to
I
table
mean,
this?
I don't think
till-
it's a bad idea. I'd just like to know more about it.
You want to table this until we get more information from Brad?
And I'll call
I
him
mean,
myself and get
there's a lot of
Okay.
money
They
going
just
out, we
email
just
us.
need to bring more money in.
Exactly.
That's why I keep pushing on this, increasing the occupancy tax.
Yeah,
That way we got money to work with.
you can't say throw good money after bad.
That's true. You gotta be very careful how you spend
I
money.
mean, you're not gonna be a winner in all the investments.
One of the conversations we had the last time, just at the very end, was that evidently some land that Beach Wilson had that he wanted to do something
I
with.
wrote that on here,
Okay.
right here, but yeah.
Is that down the list?
Well, it's, yeah,
Was
it's
that on
not there,
Snow- was
but
that
I
on-
remembered it after.
Was that up on Swalley?
Was that the ATV?
Did you
He
ever
area?
find
just, he
out?
just sold that, I don't know.
Did they sell it?
That up on Buffalo?
I'm not sure
Do you
where.
know-
It closed last week.
Oh, it was. It was a lot of land, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, it's about 700-800 acres.
Who
Was that-
bought that?
Some conglomerate out
Rich person.
Dunn, North Carolina, somewhere out there, that LLC.
Do you
I
know
wonder-
what they're looking
Yeah, I
at?
wonder
Is it?
what they want to
I
do
know
with it.
it sold for over $2 million.
Is that the one where they were trying to get access over us?
Yeah,
Because, so that's a problem.
they have more problem than they realize. The only access, legal access they have is up Swalley.
Yeah, and the Forest Service has put a hiatus on that, haven't they? Didn't
Well, they
Walter
wouldn't let
start
them repair the road.
Whitman? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Walter started fixing the road and they
The
said,
Forest Service stopped him.
That would, you talk about a hunting reserve, now that'd make good.
oh gosh.
Wouldn't be no poachers much get in there.
Yeah,
Wanna
maybe
make
a
a
good.
bet?
Eat out of them guars, right?
Real good way.
Dad come up on our cabin one day, hadn't been up there in a while, and somebody had pitched a tent on the front porch.
Your kids.
Yeah.
It's up there.
Standing dry.
Yeah.
Harold, is there any other pieces of land that somebody might want to allow a trail system, a Jeep ATV system be worked upon that you can think of?
No.
Now, I'll tell you something, we do a lot of work for the Forest Service. Our guys have been out an hour east of Charlotte cleaning up off-road trails. Friday, we're turning in a bid on some up in Burnsville. We've cleaned them up in Silva. The Forest
This is what I've
Service
said.
has got trails all over this state.
How about all of
Except
this?
here.
Why won't
Except
they
for
let
here.
us, okay, and
Well,
something I heard
we-
at the governor's conference that I do want all you to know, because this just made me remember it. They wanted to come in here and film Joyce Kilmer for a television documentary. Forest Service said no. So that's
Forest
why
Service is
nobody
hard
has
to work
wanted to
with.
come and do any documentaries on our area, because so much of it is owned by Forest Service. So
And
I
like, what's
mean,
it gonna hurt Joyce Kimber with them
Exactly.
filming it, you know?
Other than them trying to explain why they blew up all those trees.
Yeah,
It'll probably displace the blind squirrel.
yeah, it is. We do need to try to really push the Forest Service that they do own so much of this county. They're gonna have to work with the people of Graham County.
Well, talking about, this might not be as pertaining to the business meeting, but the Forest Service, they spent all that money and built that nice big old complex back there, and it looks cruddy when you drive by it.
It's not ever clean.
The landscaping, it ain't
Yeah.
sagebrush, looks just like a little old house out
It
the
looks,
woods.
everybody
And that's
asks me if it's
fantastic.
abandoned. They're like,
Fantastic
that
building.
building's not open. Like, it's open. I'm like, it looks all grown up out there.
It looks like that molar,
Yeah,
grass.
all the grass.
Where is this at?
Right before Massey Bridge
Branch.
Boat Dock.
Yeah,
Right there.
okay.
maybe
Yeah.
we could get one of the, plant groups,
Boy Scouts even.
Rick, maybe you can get Grant
somebody
to clean that.
as a project to kind
Forest
of,
Service.
Get a government grant.
Maybe the Boy Scouts.
yeah, like a group
Gary
to kind of
Presley
take
at the
over
library.
an area
I'd
like
say
that.
One of the biggest things, we decommissioned those trails in Tellico, and when we did that, the Forest Service did that because Trout Unlimited was coming in with a lawsuit and was gonna sue them because the big four-wheelers or Jeeps or whatever were spilling oils and gases in the streams and supposedly killing the fish. So that's one of the biggest things that it's not really that they wanna shut us out of the property, it's that they've got all these environmental
I
groups
believe they might
standing
actually call
ready,
them on that, but yeah,
standing ready with lawsuits.
The problem is those, you know,
a lot of that stuff's bluffs too, because there's trail systems everywhere else. And one of the main problems we heard with Tellico is, I won't go into that, but, yeah, there's always somebody will threaten to complain. There's whatever we do, someone will be against it.
John, maybe
And
you could even
we've
look into
got
that
a lot
GPS
of
system.
Forest Service stuff that needs to be usable.
well, I met a guy in Indy that his entire retired existence revolves around trying to lobby North Carolina to open up to ATVs and off-road trails.
Mhm.
It was, what is it, HOVEC, or whatever
Yeah.
the name of that place, that organization was. And he's been in constant contact with Raleigh, and I'm supposed to meet with him.
Let me know when you do.
And,
I'd love
West
to know.
Virginia, you know, duplicating what West Virginia's doing.
Yeah. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the Hatfield McCoy Trail Systems, but they're unbelievable. They're nice. They bring in millions. And it's a great thing because we've got all these roads already here. I would even like, even if it's just in the fall, to open up some of the gates and let people go leaf looking. We've got some of the most beautiful spots in the world in Graham County right here,
You and
but
I
nobody
were
can go to them.
talking about trying to do some kind of a Tough Mudder
Yeah.
contest here,
Mhm.
and
Love to do
with all the
those.
Forest Service land, like that road that goes from Joyce Kilmer around the backside of the lake,
Yeah.
and make certain stations at those campsites for all the different
Obstacles and
obstacles
stuff.
you have to go through.
And I'm a big fan of using, I like to use what we have. I like a lot of these natural obstacles too. Like make them go up that rock cliff here. You know, have a bunch of rappel lines off a cliff or something like that. They have to climb up that. Or, you know, make them crawl through the laurel thicket. Instead of like in a lot of tough murders, they have to do the barbed
Electrical
wire
lines.
thing. Yeah, make them crawl through the laurel thicket.
Send
Make
them up
do
the
this.
big fat gap to hang over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, do something there, and whoever's the quickest, you know,
Well,
wins.
he was talking about something that would generate people coming in the off-season months.
Yeah.
Maybe do it in February. Jake and Rance Schuler and those two boys off of East Buffalo went in April in Pennsylvania, and they turned loose 600 runners every 20 minutes for 5 hours. Of course, all the money that they raised, they gave to the Wounded Warriors Fund. But Jake and his group were the fastest box burgers. That's those two boys were the fastest. They finished first in their group, so they qualified to compete in the world competition that was in November in Vermont.
Yep.
And it's the same
something-
stuff. It's
yeah.
the same jumping in ice tubs and going swimming
Because I mean, you
underwater.
can make them
crazy
cross
stuff.
a creek somewhere and climb straight up. Let's find a steep hill, you know, they swim part of the lake. It's stuff that doesn't cost a lot but brings in huge money.
Mhm.
Because we can do it basically for nothing.
And if it's on Forest Service land, that would eliminate a lot of liability right
Yeah.
there.
I mean, it's,
Just a couple pieces of information you may or may not be aware of. You were talking about the trail system with the U.S. Forest Service. They're going through a big planning process right now. Last week, actually, or maybe the week before, there was a meeting held here at the community center for Graham County folks, and I think there was quite a bit of input there. There's going to be additional meetings, and I've got that email, Tabitha. I can email it to you when they're going to be. I think the closest.
Is that the one
Yeah.
that we went over to Andrews?
That, and there's some subsequent meetings taking place of the trail system, and they're reevaluating the whole trails and road system on U.S. Forest Service land. And then the other thing, and I'm sure you're already aware of, is the Santee-La Bike Trail that is under construction right now, and all of it
it's
is on
basically
Forest Service
open. It's
land.
just got a
It
little
is
bit-
open. There's
it's
one
open.
little
It's
section that needs
that's
some
bush
work.
hog still.
But that has the potential of attracting a lot of people into the
Mhm.
county. If you kind of think of
Now
Solid,
you're thinking right.
think
There
of
you go.
Solid,
You're doing
think of
good.
Santee-La Bike Trail, think of
Mhm.
delayed harvest out in that, delayed harvest fishing out in that same area.
We need to
So,
expand that bike trail area too, you know, because originally it was going to get.
There was a
bigger
big
and
plan.
bigger. And,
Now, where is it?
you know where
West
everybody's
Buffalo.
cabin is, there, you know, right there where the road forks. Right there, the road, where the road
Starts right
forks.
there.
On the right, there's parking area.
Mhm.
A lot of times you see logs and stuff sit there, people parking, that's the parking area for it. And if you look, it was grown up, but you can see now as a road goes up in there, but that's the parking area for that. I never
Do
knew
y'all
that
get
was.
many people that, from Solid that come in? Do they don't stay
No,
there?
they
usually
come in.
It's
camp.
seen more as Bryson.
Yeah.
It's seen more as in Swain County than Grant County.
Yeah, that's
We
where
don't-
they typically
they
stay.
originate from, yeah.
And they're not really like overnight guests. They want to like camp more than.
They camp.
Yeah, they don't have a lot of money to spend for overnight, but you know, day business.
They have a lot of money to spend, but they spend it on their bikes.
Yeah,
That-
their bikes cost more
Yeah,
than most people.
It's
Santee-La
it's
Trail
varied too. You've got
starts-
some that
yeah.
do spend more than others, of
Mhm.
course, but.
It goes down Buchanan Branch
Oh.
and around Long Hungry,
On the lake.
back up to Farley Cove,
It's not
back
22 miles
around
already built.
Blue Boar Lodge.
You know,
But
so-
there again,
Grant for 100
when
miles.
we could get them to come when we don't have any other type of business.
Yeah.
So we can reduce our rates and all that, so
We
How
they
did
can't
your-
afford to
We need
come.
You did a
it
bike
November
race this
till
winter,
March
I
or
believe.
April.
Yeah,
You did a,
yeah, we do one in January.
how did that work? Was it a good?
They usually
thing or
take
not?
about 50 rooms over 2 nights.
We,
That's good.
we worked at Solly, we redid the well house or something over there. And we got the go-ahead in August, and we couldn't work through the week, or on the weekends, until the end of October, I guess, or end of September maybe.
Mhm.
Because there were so many bikers coming in over there. And then the last weekend of the season, there was two or three different clubs that came up from South Carolina
Mhm.
and filled the whole campground, and that was their year-end blowout.
Yeah, they like to camp, and they like the Nantahala, they like that
Oh,
atmosphere.
Get back to the trail openings. Who is the key person for the Forestry Service for Graham County?
Lauren.
The district ranger is Lauren Stoll.
Is he available?
That's
She.
Hey, yeah, we can talk to her.
Yeah.
And
stuff.
it's been our experience that she has to get like when we dug at Solly, they brought in their anthropologist, I guess, I'm not
There's
sure.
certain procedures and
I don't think she can
regulations.
make a decision on anything
She
without
won't,
outside help.
she'll go back to Asheville.
Yeah, That's
So-
like we're trying to get the shooting range for the Seoka event next year, and I don't think she's gonna be able to do it, you know, because it's so environmental as far as the shooting. So if anybody has some land that's, they'll write about it. We do have to find a shooting range.
When we got our right of way to our cabin, we have the only private right of way off of the Skyway because our land was landlocked. We never had a right of way up Squally. When we got that, they sent their biologists in and did 2 or 3 different studies. They thumped on every tree, they flipped over rocks and everything, looking for this squirrel.
Were you with them?
Yeah, we did them.
Well, they would have found something if you wanted. I
Yeah,
guarantee
no,
it.
they didn't find
No.
anything. And we had to build our
None of that
road
stuff really exists.
with only such a width and such that the squirrel could still fly from one side to the other.
And you might add, that's one of the fastest roads that's ever been built.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially across the forest there.
Yeah.
Well, Darlene, there were a couple of people at that governor's conference that I asked about some other issues, but I bet they could maybe help us with that kind of help too.
Yeah.
So I'll let you have some contact when I
Let's
get
get back on
married.
track here. We're good to run. We've kept Rick here all day. Let's see. We go to the public comment. We're going to turn the floor over to Rick here.
Thank you, Bobby, appreciate that. Let me commend you guys for thinking about a new visitor welcome center. That'd be a great thing. So first of all, I'm just passing you out some information on a great organization.
I'm a member.
This will be in the I Love Graham County publication. When's that come out, in April?
April.
So you're getting the first look at it. I'm not going to go over that. That's just some of the accomplishments that the great organization has made as a result of people like you being involved in the organization. We have 100 or so active members, 7 different committees, 8 now, 40 different agencies that are represented. But the reason that I'm here today is to bring the idea of a comprehensive tourism plan for Graham County, potential that it might have for attracting new businesses, more people to come into the county. GREAT works under a strategic plan, and our first strategic plan was developed in 2005, 2006. This year, we went through a process of doing an update revision to the strategic plan, taking a look at our existing goals, the ones that we've accomplished, marking those off, adding new ones. So this handout that I'm passing out to you is just the strategic plan for the Tourism and Mountain Culture Committee, which Beth chairs. And one of the, well, I'll just wait till you get a copy of that.
There's an extra copy here.
The Tourism and Mountain Culture Committee, like I said, is one of now 8 committees. We've added 1 additional committee to our organization. And the goal of this committee is to maximize travel, tourism, at the same time looking at our recreation opportunities and how that impacts the quality of life and increasing the economy in our county. So that's what it's all about.
Well, that's what, well, you're in the right place because
Yeah.
we've been doing this for 20
There you
years.
go.
That's what we've been doing.
So that's what you're about, that's what many groups are about in the county. And the thing that in my experience years ago as an educator is getting groups to work together. That's the challenge. You may have the same idea. This group over here have this idea. This group over here have this idea. You're working toward the common goal out here, but you're not working together. So, you know, my thinking is if we can pool our resources and work together, then we're going to have a much greater impact. So that's kind of the idea behind the GREAT organization, is that we bring together a variety of different people in the 7 different committees, ranging from tourism to education to business to recreation, whatever, you name it, there's a place for you if you want to be on, serve on a committee. But one of the suggestions that came out of it's about a 3-month process, I guess, that we went through in revising the strategic plan. And you can see those objectives and strategies there. But the very first one was for the great organization to support a tourism plan so that we could begin as a county promoting the county. And that would involve, and our role is to facilitate that, to assist in that, to look at possible funding for that. I talked today, prior to
We told
coming
you
here.
about all our ideas, and that's what we've been doing, so it's not like starting to do it, we've been doing it forever.
Good, so you
when-
can enhance it.
And
Yeah.
so when we come up with ideas about maybe an off-road area or something of that nature, you could look for funding for it.
Well, what I'm looking for is for the development of a plan, a strategic plan. When you look at this reimagining document, you know, this is one that took a couple of years to develop. When you look at the great strategic plan, which is probably, I'm just giving you a little component of it, it covers different activities and different goals and different strategies. So the very first one of the committee of the Tourism and Mountain Culture Committee is to assist in the development of the tourism plan. So that would, in my thinking, would involve TNT, would involve the chamber, would involve county government, would involve the governments of the 3 towns that we have, and any other person or group, the tribe, sure, that would be interested in coming together and working together to formulate a plan that would be a blueprint for Graham County to follow, to promote tourism. To do that, you know, you're going to have to grade, or whoever would need to be able to bring in someone who could work with the groups in developing the plan. And that's going to cost some money. So I don't know, you're the calculator there, looks like.
I don't know why we would spend money on stuff we've already done, we've got a plan.
It's ROI, return of investment.
Yeah,
is what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
Right.
There's no sense in
Thank you,
throwing money
Barry.
away and it not coming back.
Bobby, I've tried to find those plans.
I'm busy, but, okay. Anyway, we had
Haven't
one
the-
done by Research Triangle Park.
I've
We've
got
had
it
one
right
done.
here. It's
by
2003.
Yeah.
That's 10 years ago.
I-
But anyway, I'm not here to argue about it. I'm here just to make a presentation.
Well, I just have a question.
Yeah.
I missed last meeting, but reading the minutes, it looks like that's what Andy was recommending, is for us to do a long-term master plan so that we could get grants and stuff to grow. So that sounds like it's kind of what you're talking about anyway.
I think that's where he got it, where Andy got it from, was maybe from.
So that we could just all work together to get a plan that maybe with the help of GREAT, we could get that grant funded to basically pay for it and make our plan go.
And the other component to it, I think, is that GREAT is an organization that's concerned with more than just our leg of tourism. We are accountable to our accommodation partners, whereas Toccoa Valley is not. There are other people that are not contingent upon accommodation partners, and they've got a voice in tourism. So this is a master plan for the community.
Yeah, for the whole county, actually, and looking at all the different facets of tourism and all the different attractions that we have to invite people to come into the county and to stay in the
Now,
county.
Rick, on these
Yeah.
grants, don't they usually give that grant money to organizations that aren't revenue producing?
Yeah,
Nonprofit.
usually
Nonprofit.
So,
nonprofit organizations.
But we really can't apply
You
for
can't
grants because
apply for
we're,
it.
No.
No.
okay.
But I think
Very
what,
few.
excuse me.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I think what Rick's trying to get at is, okay, travel and tourism can't apply for that, but as a nonprofit of GREAT,
Exactly.
we could get some funds in to start this planning and hire someone to help us implement it. I mean, because these are plans, but we haven't really done anything. So we need something more updated that's current, that involves, I mean, it's never been done that we're aware of, where the chamber, well, that's fairly new, travel and tourism. Other nonprofits like Stokoe Valley Center, GREAT, and other partners could all be involved in a
Yeah.
tourism plan.
And Bobby, you know, when you and I had.
My name's Billy for the.
I mean, sorry, Billy.
Anyway, I guess what Barry and some of the rest of us are getting at here maybe is why would we spend money on something that we already know and that isn't necessarily gonna help us? It would be more of an issue for GREAT or the chamber or something like that,
If it
rather than
benefits-
travel and tourism.
If it benefits the whole county, it will benefit travel and tourism.
Yeah, thank you. I understand that, but I'm saying that maybe, we might not be the organization to go through to do
I think
that.
they're just wanting
We're
our
just-
input.
Yeah, we're not
Okay.
asking for money.
This
I think
is-
they're asking
I would,
Ask money and
I would,
money.
actually, I am here to ask for money, but,
Yeah.
anyway, I would see TNT being a partner in this initiative, not the only one, Billy. I'm
Yeah,
sorry
no, I
for
know.
calling you Bobby, I've been
No,
mixed
that's
up.
okay.
So some people call me Richard, and, you
Yeah.
know.
Bobby don't want to be offended.
Yeah, I've always wanted to it'd be mad if it was here.
No, it just also too, I know that we have gotten some grants for our brochures.
Mhm.
And, you know, right now, we're about to be out of the Roads to Adventure. I need a grant in order to get some more stuff printed, and I need some people to help me, so, I need this.
And that's
Yeah.
something that y'all could bring to the
But
table.
we could work together with you as a partner,
Right.
you know, as a partner. And Billy had mentioned prior strategic plans or tourism plans. Tabitha shared this one with me today. That's the Brandon one that y'all did here not too long
I've
ago.
probably seen 6 of
The
them.
most recent one that I found is the 2003 one.
Yeah, I'd say
Yeah.
there's been one since then.
There
I
was the
know.
Warren Wilson study Teresa Garland told me about that she
Yeah.
participated in,
Yeah.
and that was in 1996.
Okay,
So
I know there's
that's
a Western
17 years
Carolina
ago.
one out, I believe Tri-County when Joe Hall was there, did one for us.
But
I'm
we're
trying
not
to find-
using it, because
No.
we don't know that it exists.
How do we get a
No,
copy
it
of that,
was-
Rick?
it was
Pardon
all-
me, where do we
I
get a
don't
copy
know
of that?
I'll show you what I'm
You
talking
can have
about.
this
It's all
copyright.
basic
Is it
stuff.
online?
You were here, I believe, when
I've
we
got
got that one.
that,
We
intellectual
tried to make
property
Robbinsville a
announcement.
destination.
Oh, I'll take that, and then I can just look it up on the computer, if you'll do that.
Get
I
some,
remember that
that's
was
all
the
it's been
branding,
voted on.
but I don't know any others.
I think Billy's main concern is when Andy brought it up last week, or last meeting, it was gonna be $2,000 or $3,000.
It's
Something.
22.
Well, actually, this is something totally different, what Rick is talking about, and.
No, I'm talking about this evaluation thing, wasn't that what?
It was a statistics
This
from
was-
ECU.
Yeah.
It's 2,200 with a $500 reimbursement.
Right,
from
and
the
that's what
village.
Rick was just referring to about asking for money.
$73,000.
But this, as far as developing a tourism plan, what he's saying now is just to get the partnership together, to get the folks at the table,
See,
and let's start
With
working
them being a
towards it.
nonprofit, they could get the grant.
To pay for brochures.
Right.
We could work together with the partners to submit a grant and let the funding flow through the nonprofit organization. I think most of you are familiar with the Reimagining Robbinsville study Tabitha held up one. Well, one of the big recommendations there as a result of this project, and on the second page there is the matrix of goals and recommendations. But one of the biggest ones there is to promote tourism. And this is more for the town of Robbinsville, but the very last one, 1E, conduct a market study on tourism. And I think that maybe Beth had mentioned to Tabitha about a project that NC Department of Commerce, working with East Carolina University, does on a marketing plan, a market study on tourism. So before you even start trying to do some type of comprehensive planning, you need to have data behind it.
Well, that's
So-
why we ask everybody that walks through the door, what brings you here,
Yeah.
stuff like that. That's, we all know who our market is. We've been in business forever. So, I mean, we know that firsthand just because we talk to our guests and we know they come in on motorcycles, they come in to rap.
Yeah.
What brings you here and what will make you come back?
Yeah.
But
So,
we
Does
don't have
somebody
that in a-
compile that data?
Yeah, a report.
we just compiled ourselves and we've done the travel and tourism stuff.
Nobody knows
Well,
what
if
we
you come right
are.
down to it, if the motorcycles weren't big here, there wouldn't be a travel tour.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how I see it.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Motorcycles are
You know
good.
who your business is. You don't really need a market study to tell you.
I know
who they are.
Fontana, these guys get a ton of motorcycles.
But it's a
But-
very small portion of our overall.
So you know who your market is, you know who comes there, who stays.
But I'd like to
what's
know yours, and, well, I mean, if you're not just a motorcycle place, I'd like to know everybody's.
Because
And-
Duke Power still has to be paid in November and December
Yeah.
and January and February, and if we can figure out some activities to get those
That's-
people in.
There's a
That's what we
comprehensive
need.
tourism
That's what we
plan.
need.
That's a comprehensive tourism plan. You
Right.
know, you've got somebody giving you some suggestions and working with the groups. How can we encourage people to come here November, December, January, February? What can we do?
We
How
know
are
a
we
lot
gonna
of that
promote
already
this?
too.
So-
It's just actually doing it.
One of the things too that the, you know, the goal would be to share data. Who, do you really have any data of who the people are that's coming into Grand County that you could share? Has anybody compiled?
We
that?
started something, but
Business.
it's only since Andy Cable took over.
Yeah.
He has a sheet. We've got some
Yeah.
stuff started.
But that's
ourselves,
like this
but-
much information,
Right.
because he didn't, there was no information provided.
Right.
Can we do that now? This is
That's
early
what-
enough in the season that we could
Well,
put some
if
kind
if y'all
of
could
surveys or
maybe
something?
take a look
That's
at what this is.
That's what Beth is wanting to talk about on this study from East Carolina University. So that would be a process as to how you could start.
And if you just give me a
Yeah.
few minutes, I'd love to tell
Okay.
you about the survey. It's pretty comprehensive. This is Eastern Carolina University's Center for Sustainable Tourism. As a matter of fact, the woman who is over this survey program and the visitor profile surveys is the one that wrote the 2003 or collaborated with your old tourism plan. And so basically what we would do, the program starts they would start coming over in April for meetings with us. And on page 2 is the basic demographic information that probably we're already collecting in individual businesses. There will be 8 months of study. There will be a total of 20 sites where the information would be collected. Now, this is not where a guest comes in and you say, I need you to fill out the 7-page survey. It would be the sites collecting email addresses, and then all of the work is done by Eastern Carolina University. And they email the survey. There's usually an incentive around, okay, if you complete this survey, you have the opportunity to win a $100 gift card or something like that. And we have plenty of partners that we could get some incentives from. But it's very comprehensive. This is a draft of what they have sent out to other counties in North Carolina. If there are questions that are not on here that we would like to ask or garner information that would be important, it does go into, reasons for here, where did you go, what did you think about the county's overall visitation climate. So it's the one, I think, Tabitha, you mentioned that Teresa Garland did was very good, but this is a lot more in depth. And at the end of the survey period, you actually get a report that would be given back to TNT, the chamber, GREAT, others. I mean, we'd want to share this information, businesses, about the percentages of people that are here to hike, the people that are here to fish, the people that are here for motor tourism, the people that are here for birding. There's a lot of things that we have to offer that we're really not tapping into, or know that
That's
people
where
are
it goes
actually
back
coming.
We know who our customers are, and know sort of what our percentages are. Like how many hikers a year do you get?
Never.
Yeah, okay.
And we shouldn't survive without them.
Yeah, so,
Off season.
and see, she knows how many she
You get
gets. Yeah.
That's
Well,
why
they
They're
AT
right,
goes right
they're
through
right at the
Fontana.
trail,
I mean-
so you already know your percentage of hikers you get roughly and all this stuff.
But I think this would
Billy,
help
what I
us
think-
reach
Yeah.
our hikers.
Well, and I think the other thing is, Darlene knows that. I know we get 16,000 people a year at Socorro Valley Center. I can tell you who they are, where they came from, and all that.
Exactly.
But there is no pool of information anywhere that I have found other than the Department of Commerce and the Smoky Mountain Host, and both of those are 2 years old, and a lot of that is estimates. So this would be a comprehensive study of Graham County. So Fontana would be a site. Iron Horse would be a site to collect these surveys of emails. Of course, Graham County Travel and Tourism. It could be restaurants. It could be, we have 20 selections.
Yeah, we
Well,
did
I
that
guess this
before
is
on
one thing I have to
small
say
one.
about it working for one of the properties that bring in the majority of the occupancy tax for the county. We are more than motorcycles. We are very multi, but we don't have a large market budget to get those folks in here. If there's birding groups that we can get into Fontana, and a group of people can help me find out how to go after that, I welcome that, because the budget that this county spends, travel and tourism, it needs to help all of us, and we're very diverse. Snowbird, it's completely different than any of us, Topeka. And I feel like we're missing, I feel whether we do this, we'll have to do it if you got all these different organizations going together to help you compile it, it just seems easier.
And my job hopefully is I'm gonna try and go to each one of those organizations and make them try and realize that they need to have a buy-in, they need to be part of this process. And I mean, I would appreciate them. I mean, if you want if you don't spend any money, you don't have a nickel in the game. But if you spend a little bit of whatever budget you've got, if it's $50, at least you've got a little bit in that game, and you're really going to do something with the results. But if they just go, sure, well, you know, so I'd like the tribe to give a little bit of money. I'd like the town. I'd like the county. I'd like the chamber. I'd like us. I'd like Drake. I'd like, you know, everybody to go in together. Then it makes it a whole lot easier on everybody's budget.
Well,
instead of one person.
The cost of the survey is $2,200. There's, at the completion of the survey, there's a $500 refund from the Blue Ridge National Heritage Area, which I think all of y'all are familiar with. They do a lot for tourism in Western North Carolina and Virginia. And then, so we're talking $1,700 for an 8-month study at 20 sites with potentially 4 to 5 partners. As a nonprofit, Toccoa Valley Center and GRAPES, I believe position would be to facilitate this with Eastern Carolina University and make sure that there's contact and there's emails back and forth. I did talk with Teresa Garland today with the town, and she has no problem approaching the board about a cost share of that kind. And then I spoke with Carol Klein at Eastern Carolina, who is the head of this sustainable tourism, the Center for Sustainable Tourism. And the funds can be in next fiscal year. They don't have to be paid today. However, we have to give a letter of agreement to them that the Graham County is willing to participate. And we have to do that sooner rather than later.
So is that I'm sorry.
If you take that $1,700 and divide it by 5 partners, it's $340 per partner.
Is that what you're looking at?
Well, we had talked about, yeah, we've got to have the data before we can do a plan. I mean, whether that's great or it's travel and tourism or it's the chamber.
You got to have the statistics.
We've got to have
But you're not looking for one person to pay the $1,700. You're looking for could even be a business to help with
That's
that.
what
Oh, it could, sure, absolutely.
Yeah, that's what Tabitha
And
said.
Tabitha and I had
Divided
talked,
$5.
So that's not a whole lot of money.
If we say yes on this and you find 4 other people, is it gonna be feasible to get it going by
well,
the
we have
1st
to
of
know,
April?
yeah,
Have to make a
absolutely. And
commitment
we have to make a commitment by tomorrow. Because this is, Tabitha and I have been talking, emailing back and forth for about a
Have
month
you
or
talked to the
so.
4 other people?
I've
or-
just talked to Teresa today.
And you need this by tomorrow?
No, we need to have an agreement that we want to participate. We don't have to have the funds by tomorrow. The funds can be in your next fiscal year
No, that's what I was
budget.
talking about, that agreement, but-
Well, would we agree that we could give 300 or how many dollars?
Well, let's talk about who the partners are, because in my
Okay.
mind, it would be Graham County, it would be Travel and Tourism, it would be the Chamber, and it would be the town of Robbinsville.
That's
But you've not talked to the rest of them besides Teresa?
Out of those, the sketchy one right now, because of their budget, would be the chamber. But I think Teresa would be on board representing the town. I cannot see why Andy Cable would not give some money,
Yeah, and I've
because
left
he
it-
needs it
That's
for
why I
his
don't
stuff.
speak for us.
Well, Andy is
Well,
in
I'll speak for
Raleigh.
I'll
Yeah.
speak for Fontana. If the town doesn't do it, the village could pay that much money, just because this is a lot of information that would cost us a whole lot more
A
than
lot more. If you hired a
$300.
consultant to come in here for that period of time, it would cost a lot.
So if you can't get the other partners, we can help be one of those.
So for now, the $2,200 has to be divided by however many the partners are. And then when the study is completed, there's $500 refunded to those partners from the Blue Ridge National Heritage Area. So I want to make that clear about what funds will be needed in next fiscal year.
But you would start the survey immediately, because they have to have
Yes,
this information in
and
order to.
actually Carol, when I spoke with her yesterday, see, the program launched on February 1st. And so she's just kind of been waiting to hear back. Tabitha and I talked a little bit, then she was traveling, so we haven't really been able to connect. And it was actually Tabitha's idea of maybe the cost share, and I think that's a really good one, because I think it's less of a, bite out
Yeah,
of
because
people's
that was our
budget.
biggest concern when Andy mentioned it.
Yeah, but even at, when I was talking to Teresa, even at $2,200 would be worth the email addresses that we potentially could collect and contact afterwards. So, and then we have a study. I think the other important thing that I see with it is that when you have the data, then you can invest your time, energy, and money where these people are coming from, what they're here for. I think we might garner, especially from some of the questions that are in the survey, some information we've never collected in the county.
No, when I've talked to people that's making reservations at my places, when I ask them for their email address, a lot of them's hesitant in giving it to me because they don't want to go on out to third party. I promise it.
Well, and
I
there's
said,
a
we
whole-
don't sell this information. We just need it to get.
There's
back
a
to
whole
you.
section on this front
So-
part about the confidentiality, and I think that's another good thing, that it bridges the gap, that Eastern Carolina University is conducting the study, and it's not Graham County or a particular business or travel and tourism or the chamber.
Yeah, but they're going to wonder how the university got their email address.
Oh, no,
You know,
there would be
they do
something,
this.
yeah, they would have to elect to participate. And that's what I was saying, Barry, about the incentives, that if there's a gift card for $100 or something like that, we would have to provide some incentives for people to get their email addresses. Because you're right, a lot of people don't.
To them, it's just junk mail.
Right. Or they plan something and they know where they're going, they
What
don't want to deal
percentage of
with
people
it.
actually fill out the questionnaire on the email? Do you know that?
What's their rate of return?
What's the rate of return?
They're
Well, it
basically-
depends on the size of the county and how many visitors they have.
I mean, they still have a percentage of what they've done so far, what's
As
their
far
rate
as
of
market,
return.
that's like
Well, all
marketing.
the data,
Percentage
all of
doesn't matter the size of the
all of
town.
the data is on the Center for Sustainable Tourism website at Eastern Carolina University. They have they've been doing
So
this
you
for a
don't-
very long time.
Yeah, like I seen this probably 20 years ago, but you don't have that information though, it's on the website. The
Well, I
percentage
don't
people
conduct
actually
the
fill
studies,
out.
it's Eastern
I
Carolina,
know,
so I
but you were
don't
speaking
have,
of it, so I didn't know if you knew about it or not.
I don't know, Billy, right here today, but it is on the website. The information on the website is actually pretty extensive about past counties that they've worked with and worked in, and the information that they've been
So we
able to
can give
garner.
everything that.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Let me ask you this, Barry and John, you guys are primarily motorcyclists oriented. If you could draw in people for a Tough Mudder contest, or if you could draw in a bird watching crowd or whoever, tubers in here playing in the snow, would you be willing to do that? Would you be willing to rent your rooms to people like that in the off season?
Sure.
If it's equitable, yeah.
Right.
That's the bottom line.
And that's what this
Keeping
will
the
do.
place
This,
open, you know.
yeah,
Yeah,
this
smart.
will find out if we've got people that are interested in that kind of stuff. I think it's a good idea. I'm all for it.
I know there's people that
Yeah.
wanna come
There's
ATV.
people
Exactly.
interested in this. We already knew that, just actually getting the activities started and done.
Right.
Because, yeah, we know we can have a huge ATV base just off what Teleco made and whatever other things made. We know getting it. The Tough Mudders, they're just like any other event. At first year, it may be small, but it's something that can grow if people like it. You know, like all our groups start out. When we got Miatas in, there's 25 of them. Now there's 600-800. And
I
so
think
if they
the
come
other
have a good
thing
time,
that the
they'll do
study
it.
can do is identify some things that we might not even be thinking about for the off-season. Because there is a section there about other things you'd like to see in the county, or, and we can tailor that for some questions that we want to ask to garner that information.
When we did that survey before, I believe number one was alcohol. And that's before any of the other places had it. So that was the number one thing they wanted. Number two was some type of like antique shopping and stuff like that. And then it was just basic things, but I just stuck out my head, the number one thing that people wanted was alcohol. And we've got those surveys somewhere, I'm trying to look them up. But we did that, it was on a sheet about that big, and it had like 20 things listed.
We've had ladies ask about shopping.
Yeah.
Not here, you gotta go to Dillsboro or.
If you want to be a tourism place, you've got to give them things to do and
Right.
things to see.
Mhm.
And most importantly, things to do, because if they don't have things to do, they're not going to come.
And
But
places
see,
to
now
spend
that's
your money.
where, just from
Well,
doing
that
the
goes
shows,
things to do.
I can tell you from the shows, that's not the viewpoint of our place.
They want
If they
to
wanted
rent.
shopping, they'd stay home. They wanna come here because there's not shopping and antiquing and a bunch of.
Well, that was on the survey we did, it was one of the top things.
Well,
They
here's
wanted
the
some more
thing,
shopping.
I've lived here all my life.
See you later.
And
Thank you, Rick.
Yeah.
I've got to go to a baseball game, so
Okay.
thank you for the
Thank you
time
for
that
coming.
you've allowed me.
Rick, don't
I
forget
hope
your-
you'll be-
your map there.
Oh, yeah, I hope you'll,
Rick, you want me
Chew
to
on
take that
that
back to the
idea.
office? I can take it back for you. So you want it baseball?
thanks, Dad.
Well,
Oh, go ahead.
We're not gonna grow anymore, I don't think, as far as little antique shops and clothing shops and things like that. I think we're gonna have to push the outdoor activities.
Right.
That's why I like mountain biking.
Mountain biking, the Tough Mudder contest.
but
the
there is
tubing thing.
retail that can be done with outdoor stuff as in rentals. There is a lot of this kind of thought out there.
Right.
Segway, kayak, mountain bike rentals, cause there's not a lot of that here.
Yeah.
You've gotta go
And
somewhere
the
else
more
to get it.
people you get too in, the more feasible stuff like this, like the antique shops are. You know, we get more people in, there'd be more people that could possibly shop there, maybe a small percentage, but if it's like, I was telling you, percentage doesn't matter on the size of the town. You know, if it's a 1% and you got 50,000 people coming through, or
Well, but a
5,000,
percentage
so
in-
it's, you know, it'd grow on
The
that.
percentage in Dillsboro would be much different than a shopping percentage in Graham County.
Yeah.
I mean,
was
that's
talking
all I
about
was
percentage
saying.
of people that fill stuff out, you know,
Right.
they get 25% of people that get sent to filled out.
So are you asking for two different things? What are we?
Well,
what
the
are
one
you
thing that
asking
Rick
us
was
for?
talking about is that, and I sent an email out yesterday, we would very much like for the board members of Travel and Tourism, the Chamber, the town, to participate in the Great Tourism Committee. We have our first meeting next Tuesday at the Extension Office at 10 a.m., and we will meet monthly, likely, or at least every other month, to start working on this tourism plan. But we need Travel and Tourism as a partner in that plan. We're not trying to put together a plan and shove it down anyone's throat. We need, I mean, GREAT itself is a consensus of the community members and the things that the community thinks that we need to start working on. And tourism was a high on the priority when we went through the Reimagining Robbinsville process. And so the one thing that we are asking is that y'all participate as a partner with GREAT on developing a comprehensive, long-term strategic tourism plan for Graham County.
Does the
It's
board
good
that
you
we-
could talk to us then, because we can tell you what we've tried in the past and what worked,
Well,
what
sure,
didn't.
yeah.
And, you know, then we could also tell you, we already have a long-term plan.
Did you say our portion would be 2,300?
No, the total cost
The
of
total
the
cost.
survey is $2,200.
Our part
But my
would be
idea-
$342.
Well,
She's not
if you
talking to
take
anybody else.
2,200
She's
and
not.
divide it by what we're realistically imagining is 4 people, so our buy-in would be about $550,
That's right.
with some of it to be reimbursed
$100
by the Blue Ridge.
$125 if you have 4 partners, which are the ones that I identified. After the survey is completed and the Blue Ridge National Heritage Area refunds the $500, because they're supporting these projects in the western part of North Carolina.
And how
So there
long-
would be $125 returned to those 4 partners.
How long would it take them to get it finished?
Well, it's an
It's
8 month,
months.
it's an
8
8-month
months.
process, and so, if there's a commitment from y'all to participate, I've talked with Teresa, their board meeting is on the 20th. I know what you said about the chamber, and I appreciate your offer, Darlene, maybe if.
I thought you said you had nobody tomorrow.
Well, I need
She
to
was
let.
just giving a for instance that we
No.
get moving
If she
on.
can have
Yeah, I
like a
thought you said she
commitment,
Literally did nobody
I
tomorrow.
need to be able to call Carol Klein at Eastern Carolina University tomorrow and say Graham County is going to participate in this visitor profile study. And then that will get the ball rolling, and as I mentioned, payment for the $2,200 would not be due until next fiscal year, July 1.
Okay, can I make a motion that we do this based on you getting 3 other partners?
Sure.
How's that? And
Yeah, I
that
would
way
second that.
Yeah.
we're only out 500
Yeah.
whatever, and we'll
Right.
get
I'll
money
do
back.
that.
So I make a motion that we go in.
Made a motion. John?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Information be available?
Yeah, the information will be available to everyone, right? We can go on East Carolina's website.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Now, is this?
Now, the people's email addresses will not be available.
Right,
I mean, that'll all be
Just the
confidential,
results.
but there will be a report that will be presented back to Graham County.
Right.
And if we elect to put that on our website or share that information in any way, it won't have any specific individual who's,
Is
yeah.
is this a progression report, like a work in progress, or is it just one report at the end?
It's a study, so we have
Okay.
8 months to collect the data.
Okay, so it won't be like a whip, what they call a whip, a work in
No,
progress?
No,
No.
no.
Okay.
What we'll do with the results, if we see that more people want biking, then we'll see if they can help us write a grant to get money to start pushing the biking trails.
Well, and that's the other thing is that if we don't have the data, it's hard to know where to make the investments.
Exactly.
And we have the Department of Commerce data, but it's typically 2 years old, and it's very much estimated by sales tax and bed tax and other things. There's not really any collection sites that the Department of Commerce does. And then same with the Smoky Mountain Host. They rely quite a bit on the Department of Commerce for statistics. And so really our only way to know is to do a comprehensive study of our business.
See, our marketing base should be at least 3.5 to 4 hours away from here,
Yeah.
because that's what brings them here to spend the night.
Because really something
Because
you
if
should
they
do
just
is ask
come
the
here
people right
and
here, and they
leave-
give you all that information.
You know, if they
Well,
just
that's
come
what
here
I'm
and
saying,
leave,
Billy.
then
I
we
can
make
give you
nothing.
information about Stocoa.
Yeah.
What this is
Yeah.
just a comprehensive.
Right.
So if your
That's what I'm
site
saying,
is
ask
one,
the people
and
here.
then maybe your people
You
come
want
3
to
to
ask the
4
people
hours.
that come here, why
Right.
they came
Why
here.
Right.
they came.
Yeah.
And how
That's
far
what would bring
away.
them back.
What would tell, why they would tell friends to come to this area.
So are you saying that we would have collection sites like at our facility or
Yes.
Barry's or whatever?
What they do is the first 4 months, we have 10 collection sites within the county. And so we'll identify those, there's a place to fill those out. And then they'll collect those email addresses, those folks will be surveyed. The next 4 months will be at 10 different sites where those email addresses will be collected, and then they're surveyed. And then we're given a report back from Eastern Carolina University.
Okay.
When they solicit these emails, though, they don't say where they got the email from or nothing like that, though, right? Because I don't want it backfiring on me with my guests. You know, if I give up emails.
Well, no, you have to, the collection sites have to notify the person that they are going to be sent an email.
So is it a sheet of
Why don't
paper
they
when they
just-
check out, you know, you could
It's-
be receiving an
Why don't you
email
just
or?
put sheets of paper out like that instead of having someone email and say, you want to fill this out, and then the collection sites could turn them in to East Carolina.
Well, because
Somebody can grab
typically
10 of
people
them.
on vacation don't want to fill out a 7-page survey.
Yeah.
That's the idea
Now,
of after their
7
stay,
pages,
you
they
know,
ought
we
to be able to
think,
do that on email. Yeah.
we think
I ain't
that,
got time.
No, I wouldn't do that.
kind of
Yeah.
like a, we thank you for visiting Graham County. These people are agreeing to participate by giving their email. We are not just taking like Stocoa Valley Center's database and sending it to Eastern Carolina University. That's not what it's, you know, you have a little sign-up sheet with a thing that says, you know, feel lucky, you know, you can win a $250 gift card or whatever.
Absolutely.
Then people, you know, it's kind of like the cruise things. You see, you drop your little thing in the, I mean, that is a way to collect the information. But if it's your guest, then you would say, Graham County's participating in this, this tourism study, and would you mind if we collect your email for a follow-up survey?
So it's also gonna be sites that are agreeable that they want this done at their location.
That's
Maybe
right,
not
because
everybody wants this
some
done.
people might not. And it should be, you know, restaurants, it should be lodging facilities, it should be attractions, it should be, you know,
It
places.
has to be diversified.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Well, does anybody else have any questions? Okay. Well,
Did we vote in face it to
Yeah.
support?
yeah.
Yeah, you
If
first
you
did,
get-
John second.
If you
and
get 3
unanimous.
others,
Okay.
we're in.
And who should, I know Tabitha had this idea, and who should I contact in case that doesn't work out? Tabitha?
She can email all of us. Okay, motion to adjourn,
I saw that.
all in favor?